Hello world, welcome to Champions Online Guide to the Mega Destroid Open Mission. The fight is pretty straightforward. The first thing you want to do is the pirate lady that's next to Defender in the Ren Center, go get the daily from her. Yes, there's a daily for it. You get the choice between 1,000 quests tonight or 5 silver champion recognition, in addition to whatever you get from the winner's circle, which is probably crap. But at least it's another 5 silver champion recognition, so you could potentially get 2 in a single day with the stupid mission. If you forget to get the mission from the pirate lady, you can still use the Socrates thing on the mini-map. Click on that and go to search for emergencies, and she's under like Lieutenant whatever. I don't know, Lieutenant Pirate Lady. Okay, something begins with an M. I don't know, but it's under there too, so you don't have to run your ass all the way over there if you forget to pick up the daily. When you see a call for the open mission, pretty much everyone always gathers at the resurrection spot behind the champion's headquarters. It's in the area that's right around the corner. You have the place where Witchcraft does her astral projection thing, and that Alicia chick is there. Don't forget to team up. It's kind of important. It lets everyone know who is actually there, and if there are healers, which there hopefully is, then you're not really going to get healed if you're not there. If you're not in the UI, you're not going to necessarily get auras and stuff, so be in the team up. If you can look at the everybody in the team up by, there's like an arrow next to the party frame now. And if you're not the healer, you probably don't want to keep that open. If you are the healer, I'm sorry. The new UI is awful, but you don't have a choice because it's kind of what you need to use if you want to see everybody to heal them. The healers, not really going to see you if you're not in the team up. I know I've played the healer, and it's like the stupid UI takes up a lot of screen space. It's not very see-through. It kind of sucks, especially when there's 6 teams and it's like there's just crap everywhere and you can't really see anything. So if you're not in the team up, chances are the healer's not going to see you, and you might not get healed anyway because there's no rangefinder on the raid frames. So if you're not the tank, you might not get healed, period, end of story, because the healer does not know where you are, and they don't know if you're in range. It's really, really annoying. Generally, you need at least 3 full groups in the team up before you start doing anything. Don't be that dick that goes around and rescues all the firefighters and stuff, because you pretty much just started early and now you suck. Most of the time, if the open mission fails, it's at the device things. It's just kind of a nightmare. There's so many freaking enemies. They hit so hard. They aggro from like a billion miles away. And the damn device has like crap loads of defense. So things just keep respawning in your face. So you kind of have to go with the group. That's really important, to stay as a big giant clustery group when you do the device part of the open mission. But something else that's really important is you really want to have 2 tanks and 2 healers at the very least. I mean, if you're not the tank or the person tanking, you shouldn't really be getting damaged very much anyway. If you're paying attention and blocking when you're supposed to be blocking and you're not standing next to the tank, which would be dumb because then you're taking a lot of damage, which you shouldn't be. However, if there aren't 2 tanks available, like if you have a really high DPS and a beefy tune, those can work too. But they still really have to have a babysitter. I mean, because Mega Destroids, their ground punches do a lot of damage. So healer is pretty much required. You have to have a healer. I think there's at least 1 or 2 tanks that can take without a healer, but it super sucks. So it's possible, but it's better with a healer and tanks. Everyone else can be, DPS. The Mega Destroids themselves, when they spawn, you have to keep them separately, and you need to keep them around the same health. And keeping them separate is absolutely required, because if they're too close together, they get this ridiculous buff crap, and it's just, you don't want that, so keep them separated. Usually one will go towards the museum, and one will be dragged closer to the street or into the park close to the street. And it helps if you call out, or someone calls out the health. Most people use zone, but you can also use team up and everyone should hear you. I think I've only seen someone use team up once or twice. But usually you want to call out the health at like 1/3 and 2/3 and maybe even like 1/6, just to make sure that they're pretty close. The easy way to do it is M is for the museum Mega Destroid, and S is the one that's in the street. Even though the street one could be in the park, it's just M and S and then the health. That's it. It's really simple. So if you're looking in zone, pay attention to that. If someone's calling out, museum, M, 2/3, and it means museum is at 2/3. And if you don't see street calling out health soon, then it's probably because they're a little bit behind. Maybe they need some help. might have to switch targets. Sometimes it just happens. You have to switch between them. It happens. Although I will say, if you have a really, really high DPS toon, don't move from where you are. Because chances are, like 5 other people have already moved to the other one that needs help. And if you go too, you're just going to have to run back anyway. So if you can do really freaking high DPS, like top of the charts, just don't even bother moving. Let the other people that don't do as much damage move. Or if you're a latecomer, just look to see which ones both they have, and then whichever one is lower, just go to that Mega Destroid. And why you need to keep them close to the same health is that when one of the Mega Destroids dies, the other one gets super freaking buffed, like crazy buffed. Every attack is basically death, even if it's a tank blocking, they're just gonna die. Everything. All of the attacks that didn't really necessarily do a whole lot of damage before, instant death. It just, things kill you, and it sucks. You do get a small grace period, so if the health is around the same, almost always one of them will die before the other one, and then everyone just kind of dogpiles under the second one, and normally the other one gets killed off in, a minute later. Probably not even, because you basically have 2 groups converging on the one that's almost dead anyway. However, if you don't finish it off fast enough, pretty much everyone's going to die. And then the mega buffed Destroid that's left is going to reset to 1/3 health. And he's now impossible to kill. You're never going to kill him. It's just, his attacks do way too much damage. Never going to happen. Like, you can't even heal through that. I mean, even if a tank is blocking and you have someone healing the tank, they're probably still going to die. And I've only ever seen that happen once. So it's not exactly a common occurrence. Almost every time it goes off totally flawlessly. And the biggest place I've seen fails are at the devices, just because of freaking crazy. Just like, because there's just so much shit that the tank can't really aggro everything, because there's way too many mob groups, and most tank powers cap out at 5. Most powers, period, just cap out at 5. So if it's going to fail, it's probably going to fail at the devices, because someone started too early, and it's almost never at the Mega Destroid fight itself. If you're not the tank, then basically you just need to block all the wireframes. There's wireframe tells for everything. Block them. Block all of them. Just do that. Ranking up your block helps a lot. I guess you don't have to. There is another wireframe that will spawn on a player. If it spawns on you, you have a little yellow wireframe that spawns on you. Run the hell away from everybody. Just freaking run for it. Book it. Keep your travel power on. Fly as far as you can away from everybody. Do not run into the center, because what that does is the Mega Destroid will shoot missiles at the target, and everyone just goes all over the place. I mean, it's a repel, so people go flying. I mean, you could easily get shoved halfway across the park. It sucks. And if you do that, well, you've just screwed up everything. Like, all of the DPS, the tank, the healer, they're just all over the place. So don't be a dick and stand there. Run away. You get that wireframe on you, run for it. Even if you don't even bother blocking it, which depends on how strong your character is. It might not even do any damage. You're still going to get shoved. If you block, you get shoved. If you don't block, you get shoved. Doesn't really matter. I think it's at 2/3 health. There's a second big yellow wireframe from Mega Destroid, which is like a spark storm type thing. If you're melee, you probably cannot see what the hell he's doing, so you just see the wireframe. However, this one does not stay up for very long, but that doesn't mean you should stop blocking. The spark storm hits 9 times, I believe, so block, and then you can stop. Wait for all 9 hits. If you didn't feel like counting them, just, wait until everyone else is attacking again and you don't see them keeling over and dying. If you do have a beefier toon, you could probably eat a few hits, but generally even the tanks have to block at least half of the hits, because they do a lot of damage. I mean, they could do upwards of 1,000 points per tick. Hits 9 times. I don't know if it can crit or not, but obviously if it does, that's like 2,000 plus points of damage. Most people are not going to live through 9 ticks of, 1 in 2,000 plus points of damage. Sometimes the wireframes lie, and you can get hit if you're standing just outside of them. It doesn't always happen. You don't know if it's going to happen. So if you're right outside the wireframe, just stand there and block. Just so you don't die, because some of those can hurt, especially if you're a DPS character that's not, tanky McTanks. You could just end up getting clobbered, even though you're not even in the wireframe. It's annoying, but it happens. And if you have a ranged character, you could actually stand at 100 feet, and there's one of the wireframes that you don't have to worry about at all because you'll be too far away. It's like, I think it's only 50 feet or something, maybe it's 75, but you'll be outside of it. Pretty much everything else is like massive wireframes, so like pretty much big giant domes that hit like freaking everybody. For the grand finale, once Mega Destroid gets down to 1/3 of his health bar, he gets a new attack. The downside is this new attack does not have a wireframe. The bigger downside is you cannot block and live through it. You just can't live through a period, blocking or not, tank and blocking or not, ranked up block. No, it's 100% lethal 100% of the time if you get hit. You can't do anything about it other than run away. You can run away. However, there is a tell. It's just not a wireframe. So next to his enemy portrait, there is a target tell. It has a blue background and it says Foom on it. When you see that, run behind Mega Destroid. Make sure you're actually running behind him, because sometimes Mega Destroid likes to do a ballerina twirl before he starts his Foom attack, and he'll actually be facing away from the tank and to all of the people that are doing DPS or healing or whatever. So make sure you're actually running behind him. Don't run away from him. Don't run to the sides. Run behind him. Although if you're far enough away, you probably don't have a choice. You have to run to the sides, maybe. But generally, you want to run behind him, because it is basically fire all weapons, which is a big ass cone. The farther away you are, the harder it's going to be to try to run to the sides and not die. So I guess don't stand too far away from him so that you can actually run behind him, or at least run out of range of a big ass cone. So this actually sucks for melee. And it sucks because you could be standing underneath and slightly behind him and still get hit with this attack. I know it doesn't make sense, because it's like, well, but his hands are in front of him. How is he hitting me? His head is in front of me and facing the other way. How does he hit me does he have I-beams in the back of his head? Well, apparently he does. So the rule that I use is his right heel is behind him. And that's where I, just imagine there was like an invisible line across his heel. And if you stand there just inside melee range, you'll be safe. I mean, you don't have to cluster at his heel. I usually just stand by his heel anyway. But if you're behind his heel, just inside melee range, you won't get hit. If you're standing by his foot, but at his toe, you probably will get hit, even at his right toe that's leaned back from him, because, it doesn't make sense, but it's the way it is. I recommend adjusting your UI. I have no idea what button it is. It's one of the F keys. It's probably like F9, 10, 11, or 12, or maybe it's Control F9 or Control F12. I don't know. Just push buttons and figure it out. Anyway, when you do get the UI movement thing up, there's one called Target Tell. Move that box somewhere where you're going to see it and never miss it. Somewhere closer to the middle of the screen. That's what you do with it. So then if you're not really paying that much attention, because you don't really have to if you're not tanking or healing. So if you look at the chat box all the time, put it by the chat box, kind of, maybe. Well, it's as long as it's in your field of vision. The farther away things are, closer to the edge of the screen, I know I don't see those things like at all. They might as well not exist. Closer to the center. You don't want to miss that. It's death. 100% chance of death if you get hit with that. And it's basically a great way to just do unload all of your free damage, because you're behind him. He's obviously not going to hit you while he's channeling this crap. So you could just unload all of your attacks right in his face, and you don't have to worry about I just hit my active offense and I have to block. Well, then I just wasted it. You don't have to worry about that. So it's actually a really good time to just dump damage all over Mega Destroid. And once both Mega Destroids are done, you could go to the winner's circle and claim your fabulous cash and prizes, and things that include 5 silver champion recognition, 10 globals, one of the 2 crappy rank 3 mods that I don't know why anyone even buys them, but you could sell them anyway, a second win, and I think sometimes you get one of those crappy star things, refills, because what am I going to do with those? I don't freaking use the ones I have, which is probably why I have 100 of them now. Okay, I know that doesn't sound very exciting. There's also some other junk you can get. They have all those stupid blob auras. The blob feet, not really worth a while. I should say the left foot blob is not worth crap anymore. I don't know, maybe it just drops all the time, because it seems to be the one that's on the auction house everywhere. Even more common than the stupid right foot sometimes. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you want to make a disco character with blobs of different colors all over the place, sure, whatever. Oh, of course there's blob hands, right, left, and both. Blob chest, blob head, blob tail, and they have blob wings. Blob wings are not as cool as I thought they were going to be. It just puts blobby shit on your wings. It's not actually wings made of blobs, which is kind of what I was hoping for, which would have been really awesome, except that it's not, so it's kind of disappointing. Oh, there's the Mega Destroid factory. That's probably worth a lot. Probably the only thing that's really worth a lot. They have those emotes, too. There's at least 2 of them. They're probably worth a fair bit. I've seen them once. Oh, I've seen the one, the power down one, so I know that one exists. I think there's another one, I don't remember what it is. I don't care about emotes, and the only reason I know the other one drops is because it's the first thing I got in the first Mega Destroid, then I didn't get anything else. Until I got a left foot blob, and then I couldn't even sell it, because as soon as I put it up, it was 5 other people had them for 10 globals, and I was like, so I just put it on, and I had one blob foot. It was great. I ran around with one foot that had a blob. It was, of course, the left foot, by the way. Surprise to no one. So I had one blob foot for my left foot. And then I eventually found a right foot blob that was super cheap, like, 10 globals. And so I had, like, blobs for each of my feet then. I know that's not really exciting. But there you go. Oh, I did get the blob head one, too, finally. So that's about all I've gotten. I've never gotten the factory. I know it exists, because I know a couple people have gotten it. Oh, yeah! Don't forget. Turn your daily in to the pirate lady. Lieutenant something. Lieutenant Pirate Lady, that's just what we're going to call her. Turn your quest in for her, or if you're too lazy to walk over there, use the Socrates computer, this thing that says search for alerts or search for something, and then scroll down to Lieutenant Pirate Lady. Okay, that's not really her name, but it's Lieutenant something, so it's under L. And there you are, alphabetical order. It's the dead giveaway because it says something about the Mega Destroids or the open mission or whatever, but there you go.